Inverse functions. The inverse of a function f of x is written as f to the minus 1x. A normal function takes you from the domain, the input, to the range, the outputs. However, the inverse function undoes the function and takes it back to the beginning. For example, so we have the range, we divide by 2, which just brings us back to the domain. So instead of times by 2, we would divide by 2 for the inverse function. In the example before, it was quite a straightforward function. When the functions become more complicated, we need a method in which to find the inverse function. Let's have a look. First thing you do is you rewrite f of x equals 4x minus 3 as y equals 4x minus 3. As mentioned before, you can write any function as f of x equals or y equals. So to work out the inverse function, you write it in this format here, y equals. Now for the next step, you write the x where the y is, and you write the y where the x is. Like this. The reason for this is that in the inverse function, the output of the normal function changes to the input of the inverse function, and vice versa. What we do next is we rearrange to get the y by itself. So we'll add 3 to both sides, then we'll divide both sides by 4, and then we end up with y equals x plus 3 over 4. Now, as this is the inverse function, it is important to use the correct notation. So instead of writing y here, we will write f to the minus 1x. So here we have our inverse function. Let's have a look at another example. So we have the function f of x equals 2x plus 3. We want to find its inverse function. So step 1 is we write it as y equals 2x plus 3. Step 2, we will write the y as the x and the x as the y. Now the next step is we will rearrange to make y the subject. So we will subtract 3 from both sides, and then we will divide both sides by 2. In the last step, we'll put in the correct notation. So instead of y, we'll write f to the minus 1x. So here is our inverse function. Here's one more to try. So we have the function g of x. As I mentioned before, in order to distinguish between one function and another function, you can give it a different letter here. So instead of f, we're using g. So let's rewrite as y equals. Then the next step is we'll swap the y and the x round. Then the next step is we'll rearrange to get y by itself. And then the last step is we'll finally replace the y with the g minus 1x. This is your inverse function. Now it's your turn to answer some questions. Pause the video and then try these. How did you get on? Here are the answers. If you answered any incorrectly, have a look back through the video and then have another go.